Hi, Michelle. Jeff Allen here. Just saw your post on LinkedIn from about attending the TAUS, or massively multilingual AI conference. I'll say something in French at the very end, but I want to scare people off here and stop them from watching. So I'll do it in French at the end because I've been living here in France for 35 years, and I see that you've lived in France. So um, the yeah, I mean this industry is really growing. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've kind of seen all the different I've covered all the different kind of types of machine translation and translation memory and all these language technologies for all these different approaches for 3 decades, and we're getting to a point right now where really, like you said, we're from the conference, say your conference summary of an overview. We're getting to a point where it's getting to a point where it's becoming productive. We can do things with it. Now I have the same thing in one of the AI experts claimed that 98% of all translations are now fully done with AI. Um, I don't agree with that, and I do agree with it. Um, I agree with the sense that if they're saying that, with all that's done in the free translation systems in Google and Microsoft Translator and Google Translate and all that, and all these freebie systems, yeah, that's a huge amount of translation, but it's usually destined for content gisting, right? So, and there's a lot of internal stuff done in internal companies, for internal content and all that. So there's a huge amount to be done, but there's also it's very difficult to estimate the amount of published translation because of so many small agencies that aren't using machine translation. Now, some of the bigger LSPs are and have been starting doing this for, I'd say, since the late 2000s, in 2010, on onward. But the LSPs finally caught on to it. The others had been doing, like Jay has worked for a couple of them. So he's worked for the larger ones that were already doing it. But I was at TransPerfect and we weren't using it in 2007 and 8. And I was trying to promote it at that time at TransPerfect. Now they're doing it, right? TransPerfect is, but that's after they got their acquisition. They bought the acquisition with World Lingo or something like that. But the so I for the say that's 98%. It depends on the content and the type of content, right? But there's a movement to that with the pros and cons of that. Okay, so the you said the other trend is the concept of TMS. I think you meant TMs rather than TMS because translation management system is another thing, but TMs with a small s would be translation memories, which makes sense because it's sentence based. And yeah, I agree. I mean, the whole thing of having segmented, all these segments, basically phrases, has a limited approach because you're doing sentence by sentence, and there's some advantage to that. I've done a lot of annotation of that kind of stuff. That's really great. You can annotate things down to the sentence and give it domains. You can do a lot with it if you go to that point, in which we've done, like I did at Carnegie Mellon. We did that, and it made it very fine tuned. But not everybody's doing it at all. Most TMs people aren't even giving domain to the file. So the file size, the file level, um, and or the story level, if you want to call it. Um, but yeah, these now that we have more contextual based. I mean, we're getting to except there is the approach for TMs for ICE, so in context exact matching. So there's an approach to that, but yeah, I now we're getting into LLMs. You can do at a larger level, and we've been wanting to do this for a long time. We've been talking about doing this at the paragraph levels and the story level and all that, and having context because of your terminology. You can have the same word in the same story, but it has different meanings. Like the word issue can have different meanings, right? In a given story, and so it can have one or more meanings over the volume. You could have different meanings, right, depending where you are in the paragraphs. Um, Now, the whole thing of what's happening with the LLMs and the magic, yeah, and this goes back to NMT. So NMT, when we really started seeing these things rolled out in 2015, I mean, there's some research about it, some industrial research and some institute research earlier than that, but it from 2015 on, it started. It was like, how's this thing working? How the NMT is working? And lots of researchers do agree that it's kind of, there's a bit of magic to it. It's really kind of mysterious. And now that we're going into LLMs, it's harder. I mean, there is a bit of magic dust. It is, and there and as we're going through, it's really hard to predict the errors, right? All the other systems before we could predict the errors more easily. Rule based was really easy to predict the errors because grammar and terminology, right? So basically grammar rules with word based stuff, and that's still grammar and morphology. That's pretty easy. A statistical base was easy because we could do it from the statistical approach, but now it's getting to this point where it's fluid and fluent, right? And it's really hard to predict the errors, and it sounds better, right? But you can have errors in it. And now we got the whole generative AI. It's like the hallucinations or confabulations we call them now, I guess. Um, these all contribute to it's really like a cool moment that we're beginning to, but it has a lot of frustration with it because it's really hard sometimes to know where we're going to be able to, um, bring it and use it in productive areas. But people are doing it in different ways all the time now. I have colleagues. I can't use it. I can't use generative AI in a lot of stuff I do because I'm writing a lot of patents and patent application stuff. So I can't use it for that. That's obvious. I can't use it for any of my strategic work because that's internal stuff. So I can't use that except for internal systems, and I don't trust it as much. So I'm kind of careful with that. I do use it for other stuff. That's more general and doesn't have any confidential or internal nature to it. So I do it with that. But like music and stuff, I use it for a lot of things. I'm doing some testing on that and cool. Doing summaries of general purpose presentations and stuff. That's okay. Or doing some lookup or doing research on certain things that aren't related to anything I'm doing. These other areas that I've mentioned. That's good. So that. But I think it's really hard to nail down how it's working, right? And now with everyone going in in different directions, it's really cool with it. But we'll see with that. Um, and then definitely for speech and languages. I've worked a lot in speech systems, and even do some more projects on that right now. And the speech has really improved. Um, the speech technology, TTS, and text to speech and speech to text and all that. Right, sorry if we don't call it. The quality is getting much better, and I've done some customization on top of it, and some of the systems get SAP and how we're using it, and it's really better. Now I'm getting down to making guides of how to customize it more. So you don't have to actually make dictionary. You don't have to make things to override. You can just make guides. Say if it does it, if you're getting errors in this area, then do this, right? And you teach people how to customize it on the fly. And so I've done a bit of that, and that's really cool. But we're definitely getting speech disabilities. I've got a bunch of colleagues that are uh, hearing impaired, and now we're getting to a point where even with the Mac, the Apple, we're getting to some of the online stuff. It's getting better where they can actually use it for following conversations and following meetings and stuff. But even like Microsoft Teams has got pretty good, and Zoom is pretty good. I mean, they're all getting to a point where the caption based stuff is really good. But it's the custom stuff. It's the custom vocabulary, and that's what I'm focusing on. Is how to customize it for specific domains to get it even better. And I've achieved some pretty good, really good results doing this way, up to even 85% of improvement over a certain large sample of vocabulary items. So it's getting better. Now we're bringing the AI enabled speech systems in. We're getting where we can do less customization. So yeah, this is really good time. So I'll go into French a little bit here for a second. Et donc là, j'aurais pu expliquer tout ça en français, sans problème. Mais c'est bien de voir qu'il y a tout le monde qui est en train de découvrir toutes ces approches, tous ces besoins qu'on commence à bien tirer. Donc, bon, voilà. Donc, au plaisir, peut-être discuter à un moment donné. Merci, au revoir. Take care.